Good morning. This is titled, Jesus is an Equal Opportunity Employer. And I would like to clear some things up. This shouldn't take very long because honestly, it's quite simple. And I'm not sure how it's gotten so complicated and out of control in the world that we're living in today. But we're going to go to a couple of scriptures and we're going to clear something up real quick. In Luke chapter 3, starting at verse 8, Jesus is telling the people who've come to him, "Therefore bear fruit worthy of repentance, and do not begin to say to yourselves, 'We have Abraham as our father.' For I say to you that Elohim is able to raise up children to Abraham from these stones. And even now the axe is laid to the root of the trees. Therefore every tree that does not bear good fruit is cut down and thrown into the fire." Then the crowds asked him, saying, "What then shall we do?" In answering he said to them, "Let him who has 2 undergarments share with him who has none, and let him who has food do likewise." He goes on to talk to the tax collectors and the soldiers and addresses people down the line. Okay? This is where I'm going with he's an equal opportunity employer, okay? Because Israel and Judah have a long history of going astray. Jesus came as a light for unveiling the nations. This is incredible. In Luke chapter 2, verse 32, it says, "A light for the unveiling of the nations." I thought of a bride. A bride. I don't know if they really do this anymore, but the bride used to have the veil on, and she'd walk down the aisle to the groom, and then when the time was right, the groom would lift the veil, right? In Old Testament, we can see how Jacob was tricked. He was trying to marry Leah, and instead, the next morning he realizes, he was trying to marry Rachel. The next morning he realizes it was Leah. How could this happen? Because Leah was wearing a veil. Jesus came for a light for the unveiling of the nations. Now, what does this mean? The nations were always welcome to come into the ingathering of Jehovah's people, Israel and Judah. They were always welcome to come and accept Jehovah as their God. They were not always able to receive the indwelling Spirit of God. Okay? So Jesus, being the equal opportunity employer, when he lifted the veil, he made it available to the people who were never able to be exposed to the Spirit of the living God to now also have access to the Spirit of the living God. We see in Luke chapter 3, verse 16, he says, "He shall immerse you in the set-apart spirit and fire." Powerful words. Now that we've been put on equal playing ground, okay, he's saying, I'm making it available to you all the same. I want to take you to Romans chapter 11, starting at verse 18. It says, "Do not boast against the branches. And if you boast, remember, you do not bear the root, but the root bears you. You shall say then, the branches were broken off that I might be grafted in. Good. By unbelief they were broken off, and you stand by belief. Do not be arrogant, but fear. For if Elohim did not spare the natural branches, he might not spare you either. Go to verse 22, and I'm starting at a word. It says, if. See then the kindness and sharpness of Elohim on those who fell sharpness, but toward you kindness, if you continue in his kindness. Otherwise, you also shall be cut off. And they also, if they do not continue in unbelief, shall be grafted in, for Elohim is able to graft them in again. What is he saying here? Israel and Judah, have they been a rebellious people? Absolutely. More so than the nations? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. See, they were all on equal playing fields before Jesus came. All have fallen short of the glory of God. So be careful that you don't boast against the natural branches, because God is able to graft them in again. In Jesus Christ we are saved. In him and him alone. Put your trust. Thank you for watching. God bless.